You are listening to Morning Edition on 89.3 WFPL. I'm Bill Burton, and it's time for us to take a look at the science behind the forecast as I am joined by Wave 3 meteorologist Tawana Andrew. Good morning, Tawana.
Good morning. Today we're talking about weather history happening in real time.
Yeah, we're talking about something, well, in real time, exactly as you said it. We're talking about the Fujiwhara effect, and that's important because of the rain we're getting now. We're seeing it now, aren't we?
Yes, we are. And we're watching what's left of Hurricane Helene basically fading off the map, but interacting with another low in a very special way. So,
Hmm.
the Fujiwhara effect is named after a Japanese meteorologist who wrote about it all the way back in 1921. And of course, the National Weather Service has a very straightforward definition of it.
Of
Um,
course.
as usual, it defines the Fujiwhara effect as a binary interaction where tropical cyclones within a certain distance of each other will begin to rotate around a common midpoint.
Sure.
So,
Perfectly clear.
yes, so in English, so that's when two tropical cyclones get less than 870 miles away from each other. They can start to interact and even rotate around one another. This can also happen with a typical mid-latitude cyclone. So those lows that we typically see moving through the U.S. with cold fronts and warm fronts and such. That can also happen with them, but that will happen when they get within 1,200 miles of each other.
Hmm.
So this is very interesting because with a tropical cyclone, with hurricanes, if the storms are about the same size, then they'll start to rotate counterclockwise, because we're in the northern hemisphere, around a spot in between the two storms. So these storms will literally start to dance around each other.
Hmm.
If one storm is stronger than the other, then the smaller one and the weaker one will eventually orbit it and then crash into the larger storm
Hmm.
while being absorbed.
Wow.
And so that's if they're one is stronger than the other. But if they're in similar sizes and in similar strengths, what will happen is that one is more likely to move towards the other before they reach a common point and they will merge, or they can start to spin around each other and basically shoot off into different directions. Kind of like when we played with tops back in the day, that kind of
Exactly.
a situation.
That's exactly what it's
And
like.
in so you're seeing that, but in the atmosphere. And in rare circumstances, hurricanes can actually combine into one larger storm. So, like a Hollywood movie, but in reality,
Coming
basically.
soon to a theater
Um,
near you.
Hopefully scientifically accurate.
Yes.
And it's not entirely uncommon for two tropical cyclones to interact with each other because it has been documented in a number of occasions. So back in 2005, we had Hurricane Wilma off the East Coast, and it actually absorbed Tropical Storm Alpha as
Hmm.
it was moving towards the U.S. East Coast. Back in 1995, Hurricane Iris was weakened after an interaction with Umberto, but later got stronger. And then that same hurricane, Iris, went back and absorbed another tropical storm named Karen.
Goodness.
So this is something we see. It doesn't happen often, but it's certainly weather history that we're watching right now. So this phenomenon is usually documented over into the western Pacific Ocean. This is where we're more likely to see it, but of course, as I mentioned, we have seen it in the Atlantic basin. It's just rare to see the Fujiwara effect happening with the remnant of a tropical system and a mid-latitude cyclone. So if your weather nerd friends are very excited right now and they're watching a lot of satellite imagery, this is why.
The Fujiwara effect, not something I knew anything about, and it's a cool and kind of frightening phenomenon, but now we have a better understanding of it thanks to the latest edition of Science Behind the Forecast. Thanks for the knowledge, Tawana.
Of course.